Well, here we are, beautiful people of planet Earth. Welcome to Titania's realm at Sacred Space. It's the 2nd of January 2025, and the current time here in Brisbane, Australia is 1:07 p.m. It's been a dark, kind of weird, trauma-spaced day for me. Lots of memories came up on Facebook, which I assiduously shared, as I do every day on my Facebook, my more interesting, more potent memories that I think are important to retain in the event that one day I'm no longer here and all my brain sizzles and fries with Alzheimer's. God forbid. But it's I noticed in my little video I uploaded from last night that I made a few errors in it, mixing up which Jewish holidays and which dates, which date they occurred, which is astonishing, people, because I used to know all those things off the tip of my tongue. Just shows you how when you're not immersed in as a practicing Jew in your community, and you're not praying in the congregation every week, and you're not immersed in all that culture, how quickly facts and history get lost and memory gets lost. So it's why I preserve things almost to the point of obsession, and it grinds my gears too, trust me on that. I'm actually in a very heavy mental space. My beautiful Muslim cleaning lady arrived. I forgot it was Thursday and that she was expected, and I was still in bed, and I was actually in a fugue state, to be honest. Fucking not good that my memories from my childhood, all these years later, and I'm nearly 60, still have the power to send me into a fugue state. But anyway, yesterday was, I had a lovely day yesterday. So, good days, bad days, good days, bad days. And I'm still fighting forward with the CPAP. I had a better night last night, but it's a constant struggle of good days, bad days. But I've had 2 good nights with that. So I've got clarity of thought, and I'm feeling pretty clear and pretty good. A bit raw and emotional though, because it seems to, I don't know why, but it seems to cause some kind of emotionality in me, or maybe I'm just emotional with aging. Who knows? And I get Christmas and New Year's and Hanukkah, December and early January are very bad trigger points for me, and I can be quite vulnerable actually. Shh! Don't tell anyone, they'll all want to ride on my fucking back. But that's I'm not joking. That's how it usually occurs. The minute any motherfucker gets the vaguest sniff that I'm vulnerable, they pile off. And it's ugly and it's evil, but it's human nature. And I've subsumed even that over 60 years. That's why when you ever hear me say, don't ever fuck with the Tanya, what I'm saying is, I'm ready for you motherfuckers. And what a way to live your life, eh? What a way to live your life. Not even being able to trust when true, heartfelt, genuine, sweet love has flown to you, because you think, that's nice. How long before the shoe falls? It's ugly, it's putrid, but it's the wreckage that I'm left with, and I'm still rebuilding from it. I'll probably be rebuilding from it for the rest of my life, and it's a much longer life than I would have chosen. In fact, attempted to not choose. And but I've had a beautiful day with my beautiful Rati. She comes. She's paid by IWA, the Islamic Women's Association, to clean my house, and actually, she gives me far more than just, the cleaning that she does, which is cleaning the bathroom, mopping and vacuuming. She gives me love. She gives me being seen and heard, and dealing with me when I'm raw and emotional like this. I told her this morning because when I came to the door, I was in a kind of a mild fugue state. I just said to her, "Oh, Rati, I forgot you were coming and I'm not well today." You know, had it been someone else that wasn't necessarily having to be here, I would have said, "You can't be here today, I'm not well." But she's such a beautiful soul. She really is. I told her to her face in all sincerity. I said, "Rati, as a Muslim woman and as a soul," I said, "you are the most beautiful light. You come and you just shine so bright with your peace and your love and your spirit. You just smile." I said, "You never get angry with me and you listen to me rave on with my mad stories like my YouTube audience that have subscribed get to see too. And you tolerate, and sometimes she doesn't cry with me, but she just holds space for me in the most pure and loving and blessed way." And very few people actually have that ability to do that. It's a gift. It's a true spiritual gift. And so I told her, I said, "You're just the most beautiful light, and I'm so appreciative of you, how you just smile so sweetly and so serenely, and it's just so heartfelt and kind of pure too, very pure." I said, "I'm sure, Rati, you get angry in your own life, in your own home life. We all have days that are awful and we feel frustrated and get irritated. But not once, it'll be 4 years in March since she's been coming to me, has she ever shown me any irritation or anger or annoyance. Even when I used to rail at her about the COVID regime, oh, did I go off? Well, I was hitting the ground running and warrior goddess mode right in the coalface in those days, 3 years ago. And I would come and I'd be shrieking about, "Don't let them poison you." And she'd be like, "But I have to keep my job." And she was just so loving and held space for that. Of course I was right actually, and I know I was right, but she even held space for that, me trying to save her and all my fellow humans from the worst ignominy. So, a beautiful soul who sees me and honours me accordingly, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all the beautiful souls who see me and honour me, because I come from a childhood and a background of such dishonour. People who actively tried to murder me in my own Jewish community, for example. Three Jewish men tried to murder me, one of whom still floats around on occasion. Don't you dare float around today, motherfucker. I'm not going to be in the mood to tolerate that at all. But anyway, it is what it is, people. It's my relationship with the Holy One and with certain spirits that cause me a great deal of harm, and also my relationship with myself, learning to find equilibrium and that peace that is the eye of the storm, while the storm blazes and swirls all around me. That peace that my little Rati from Indonesia exemplifies with her Muslim walk. I think it's more than the fact that she's a Muslim, though. I think it's just her spirit. She's just a truly good and kind and humble and loving person in service to her Allah. And I have met Jews that were like that. I have met Christians that were like that. I have met Buddhists that were like that. I have met wild, broken, rebuilt, former alcoholic bikies that were like that came to assist me when my little girls and I were under constant threat from Terry Rosilio and his sister as well, Gila Rosalie, and all their verminous henchmen. That man came to my door late at night to protect me, a total stranger. Said, I can't stand listening to you being threatened one more day, Tanya, or your little girl's being threatened with rape and mutilation one more day. I will kill them. And to this day I regret that I was brainwashed in my good Jewish archetype, because I should have fucking well let him. Instead I begged for their lives, and they were not worthy of their lives being begged for what they put me and my little girls through for 18 months. So there is that. I stand by my tree, and I held my own, and yes, but good people can come in all shapes and forms. They might not have a religion. That man happened to be a member of the tribe of Judah, but they kicked him out when he had a breakdown and returned to his alcoholism, which is cruel. Instead of standing with him and saying, you fought that addiction off once in the name of our Christian ethos and our values, and our church will stand by you, will help you get off the alcohol again. No, they kicked him to the curb. So this is how I began to realise religions can be evil too, hypocritical, cruel, sadistic, perverted. It's one of the reasons why I hate Christianity so very much, was growing up in that culture as a child where no little girl was safe in her home, or little boys for that matter. Taught me well not to trust in so-called religious or good people. It taught me to incorporate my ancient Viking and voodoo gods and the beings, the unseen ones, that actually predate all religion. And I'm sure life was better back in those times when people were more closer to nature and honoured the old gods and didn't have this awful sin and guilt and judgment and ugliness and predating on little children. Although, to be fair, there were ancient cults that used to sacrifice their children to the god Moloch and so on and so forth. So let's not idealise it all too much. Let's be real here. Let's keep balance and equanimity and equilibrium and go deep within and breathe. Breathe in all the toxicity and the evil and the rage and the betrayals and the treachery and the violations of our body, mind and spirit. Breathe out peace and begin again. Every day, every moment, every breath is a chance to reinvigorate our own divinity and our own power and stand in sacred union with the gods across all faiths, cultures, tribes, communities, creeds. There's a tribe in the Amazon that's non-contactable because if we contacted them, they'd die from our diseases. I'm sure they fare better than we do with all our fucking technology and our white people dominating mores, just saying. Go near them, they stab you immediately, and quite frankly, can't say I blame them. Just saying. But where was I? Breathing in anger and hostility and breathing out peace. If the aliens come tomorrow, or probably very likely have always been here for millennia, but if they show themselves in their true forms and present themselves to us and say, hey, tap you on the shoulder, we've been watching you for thousands of years. They can't do any worse job than their experimental products, humans sapiens have done. So today we will take delight in all that is, was and ever shall be. And a lovely piece of pavlova with my beautiful Rati, because I said to her, no one will eat my cake and you have to help me eat it. So she did. We enjoyed it together. She's a gorgeous woman, as I said. So we're going to continue reading. Oh, my battery's running low. Are we still filming? Yes. Right. Today we're going to continue reading from Arabian Nights, and we've reached almost halfway through this very beautifully bound and glorious book. Very beautifully done. I particularly love all the almost like illuminated manuscript. I'm very fond of, although I'm not a Christian, I actually love illuminated manuscripts. They're beautiful and intricate and opulent. I love beautiful, intricate and opulent. Can you tell? But anyway, we're going to continue reading Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp. Quoth Dunyazad, O sister mine, and thou be other than sleepy, tell us one of thy fair tales, so therewith we may cut short the waking hours of this our night. And quoth Scheherazade, it hath reached me, O King of the age, that Mama T's still waiting for her king to join with her, for me to be his queen. Peasant that I am. Sweet, isn't it, living in Titania's realm? Well, one day we'll find out who and what is real and whose heart truly is mine, and then we will begin. We will begin the love story, the greatest love story of my life. The one and only love story of my life, making all other romantic flutterings of the past look rather silly. If I weren't so traumatised, it would be funny, but it's not. So I can only hope and pray that my king that eventually comes to me is worthy of my spirit, my power, my love, and my very unique little body, and that he delights in all that is me, because he really loves me in spite of all my many and varied flaws and intense cumulative traumas. And I hope that he will be a man that I can overlook his many flaws and intense cumulative traumas, because no human being on earth in this current paradigm has got off scot-free from the last 4 years. Some of you, that's the only awfulness you ever had to go through, and some of you haven't even realised how awful it truly was, because you have such white, privileged, perfect, golden and Medina lives that you have no idea what is even done to you, nor for you. But when you wake up, know this: life can and will go on, life can and will be beautiful, but we'll have to build it together with perfect trust and perfect faith in each other and in perfect harmonic resonance. But don't fuck with the Tanya. She tried to warn you. You didn't listen. So there is that. So it hath reached me, O King of the age, that there dwelt in a city of the cities of China a man which was a tailor withal a pauper, and he had one son, Aladdin hight. Now this boy had been from his babyhood a ne'er-do-well, a scapegrace means a useless ruffian, vagabond, scallywag, you know, like a skater boy without a mission. Just as an analogy, you understand. No disparagement on skater boys, although I had a brief frottering with one of those too, and he really was a useless piece of shit, just saying. I won't name him because it's in the past. But it is what it is, babies. Men who never grow up and capable of being kings to their queens can wreak a lot of damage on a woman's psyche. If a woman allows it. And when he reached his 10th year, Aladdin still a little boy, you understand, at the age of 10, his father inclined to teach him his own trade, and for that he was over indigent to expend money upon his learning other craft or work or apprenticeship. He took the lad into his shop. Can you move your tail somewhere else? Because I know you're going to poo on me. That he might be taught tailoring, worthy trade for a young man to learn. But Aladdin was a scapegrace and a ne'er-do-well, and wont to play at all times with the gutter boys of the quarter. He would not sit in the shop for a single day. Nay, he would await his father's leaving it for some purpose, such as to meet a creditor, when he would run off at once and fare forth to the gardens with the other scapegraces and low companions, his fellows. Got a sudden craving for chips and salt. It's weird. It's almost like the anti-pavlova. Right, no. All this, like, you see the change in my face. It's like, chippies now. Oh, honestly, it's quite mad, really. We continue. I'm not just a walking appetite. Babies. Although look out when I reinvigorate my sexuality. Could be a bit full on for the first few months till I settle back down to a new normal, whatever that new normal will be. Don't get too excited, boys. It might never happen either. Might decide, nah, it's not worth the effort. I can go either way. It's only been 9.5 fucking years. So there was that. But I'm saving myself for a king worthy of a queen. Do you understand? No one less than that. Noble, loyal, loving, honouring, respectful, communicative, romantic and passionate, sweet and kind, generous, decent. Well, not in the bedroom. You don't have to be completely decent in the bedroom, but decent as in not shoving other floozies in my face, for one example, like Skater Boy used to do. Sad little Skater Boy. I can laugh about it now. That's how I know I've healed, babies. 9.5 years later. Anyway, don't worry, Davidson used to do that too. That's why I got fair pissed off about the repeat of that pattern. Can you imagine that pattern being constantly trotted out in my face? That's why I became a warrior goddess, and now I suffer no fools, even though it means I may remain alone for the rest of my entire natural human life. Because fuck that shit. Deserve better. Every woman born deserves better than that. Here we go. Aladdin. Let's go, babies. Stick to the story, Tanyala. I know. Such was his case, hanging around with low companions and scum. Counsel and castigation were of no avail. Did you do a poo on my laptop, Charlie? No. And presently, for his sadness and sorrowing, because of his son's vicious indolence, the tailor sickened and died of grief over his useless son. Kind of know how that feels too. It's going to be a day, people. Maybe I should resort to taking some nice little tipple of alcohol. I've made an offering of Jack Daniels to Papa Legba, the god of the crossroads and of the underworld. He'd evaporated his sweet spiced rum, and so now he's got Jack Daniels. He's not overly fond of the Jack Daniels, I don't know why. Took a long time to evaporate the rum, but you're alright, aren't you there, Papa? He's alright, he's got his tipple. Maybe I'll get something for me later too. I'll think about it. I don't like to resort to alcohol as a panacea for my mood states. It's not good. And I can just go out and sit in the garden when I finish the story and just breathe life and light, and that's better than any alcohol or drug or crutch. Trust me on that. Probably it's time I go to the sea. When I get like this, I need the sea actually. So I might take myself down there later too. Anyway, my beautiful ones, it's a new year and all potentialities have been unfurled for me. As I said, like that beautiful white sheet waited to be drawn upon, and this is going to be my year. More powerful, more loving, more nurturing, more supportive than ever before, because my man's coming to me and asked me how I know. I thought that last January too, didn't I? Oh. Maybe I need to get some psilocybin or something and completely obliterate my brain so I don't have any longings or cravings for true love and I can get over myself. Might not be such a bad idea. A psychiatrist forbids it, but I have ways of getting my own little therapies from time to time. I don't really want to write myself off on psychedelics because my brain is so reconfigured from decades and decades of horror. It is risk-taking and dangerous to mess with that wiring. He's right. I'll be good. I'll be very good. I'll just keep working things through with my dance, with my writing, with my videos, with my true loving friendships who support me and I support them, and my little birdie, and on we'll go. We'll be fine. The Tanya's fine. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. But it's not cool to play games with my emotions. That's all I have to say about that. Anyway, I mean, it's not cruel. It's not cool is what I mean. So his father sickened and died. Aladdin continued in his former ill courses, selfish little boy that he was, and when his mother saw that her spouse had deceased, that her son was a scapegrace and good for nothing at all, she sold the shop and whatso was to be found therein and fell to spinning cotton yarn, which is incredibly hard work, spinning. I had a go at it recently and it's labour intensive. It took me 3 days to spin one hank of wool, and I don't think I did a very good job of it, quite frankly, but it was fun and I learnt how to do it, and I need to now ply the wool that I made, but I don't think I can ply it because I had to knot everything together because I broke so many pieces. But anyway, it was a beginner's thing, and I'm grateful to Belinda Daniels who got my spinning wheel up and running for me and showed me how to spin, and that's how I know how labour intensive it is, working with your hands. But it's also meditative and therapeutic, and maybe I should get back into it, keep my hands constantly busy so I'm not thinking about fake people and cruel people and people from my past, so many monsters, and so I can focus on what I need to focus on, which is my beautiful life co-created with the gods and good kind people who value, cherish and adore me. and nothing else matters. Just shuck that all away, like the empty husks that they truly were and always will be babies. But anyway, so his mother's spinning cotton yarn. By this toilsome industry she fed herself and found food for her son Aladdin, a scapegrace who, seeing himself freed from bearing the severities of his sire, increased in idleness and low habits, nor would he ever stay at home save at meal times, while his miserable wretched mother lived only by what her hands could spin, until the youth had reached his 15th year. They must have put children out to work very early back in the day, because he was 10 when his dad died. And really, I mean, do they begrudge a child his childhood to grow up safely and have play and be free of all those burdens? My mother, I shared the memories on Facebook today, the photos of me at 14 painting that house, and you can see me in the photo standing up painting. My mother exploited me for my cheap and free labour. From the age of 14 and onwards, so there is that. But then we don't want our children to be so fucking spoilt that when they grow up they can't bear the thought of their failing mother who's very ill and suffers deep, deep cumulative traumas when she says, I think I'm dying with my bladder last year, fucking abandoned me. We don't want to spoil them so much that they have no empathy and no love for their older wise ones who need love and support, not abandonment, neglect, treachery and betrayal. Just saying, just as a fine example. But I've survived all of that, and I'll keep surviving it all, and I'll find my tribe who love me and honour me. In fact, I think I very well may have found them, my beautiful ones. And I'll one day have a loving partner by my side, and one day I might even forgive both my daughters and they might want to be in my life, but by then, you know, I'll be on my feet with a beautiful man loving me, and they won't have the power to hurt me ever again. Anyway, even if they come back into my life, I'll never feel the same way about them as I used to. You can only kill a mother's love so many times. It's interesting that Spirit had my phone pocket dialing her on my drive to the club on Friday night. It was very odd, very odd. Had a lot of spiritual activity in the past week, and all of it was odd, including accidentally, without my consent and knowledge, my iPhone phoning my daughter, who, true to form, rejected the calls anyway. Maybe that was a good thing. Would have ruined my night out if we'd had a fight prior to my wild, triumphant, defiant, life-affirming, God-reclaiming dance. Gods reclaiming plural. Anyway. So his mother's providing for him till he's 15. It befell one of the days that he was sitting about the quarter at play with the vagabond boys. Behold, a darwesh from the Maghrib, the land of the setting sun, came up and stood gazing for solace upon the lads, and he looked hard at Aladdin and carefully considered his semblance, scarcely noticing his companions the while. Now this darwesh was a Moor man from inner Morocco, and he was a magician who could upheap by his magic hill upon hill. He was also an adept in astrology. So after narrowly considering Aladdin, he said in himself, Verily, this is the lad I need, and to find whom I have left my natal land. Presently he led one of the children apart and questioned him anent the scapegrace, saying, Whose son is he? And he sought all information concerning his condition and whatso related to him. After this he walked up to Aladdin, and drawing him aside asked, O my son, haply thou art the child of such an one the tailor? And the lad answered, Oh, yes, my lord, but 'tis long since he died. The Maghrabi, the magician, hearing these words, threw himself upon Aladdin and wound his arms around his neck and fell to bussing him, weeping the while with tears trickling down his cheeks. But when the lad saw the Mormon's case, he was seized with surprise thereat, and questioned him, saying, What causeth thee weep, O my lord? And how camest thou to know my father? How canst thou, O my son? Replied the Moorman in a soft voice, saddened by emotion. Question me with such query after informing me that thy father and my brother is deceased, for that he was my brother German. Now I come from my adopted country, and after long exile I rejoiced with exceeding joy in the hope of looking upon him once more and condoling with him over the past. And now thou hast announced to me his demise. But blood hideth not from blood, and it hath revealed to me that thou art my nephew, son of my brother. And I knew thee amongst all the lads, albeit thy father, when I parted from him, was yet unmarried. The Maghrabi, the magician, said to the tailor's orphan, O my son Aladdin, and I have now failed in the morning. O my son Aladdin, should be a comma there, I think. And I have now failed in the morning ceremonies, and have lost the delight I expected from meeting thy father, my brother, whom after my long banishment I had hoped to see once more ere I die. Bit like me reaching out to Crystal last year when I really thought I was going to die with my bladder and asking that I wanted to see Jasmine before I died. What did I get? Mouthful of abuse. It's awful, isn't it, how I've been treated? But that's okay. That's their karma, not mine. But far distance wrought me this trouble, nor hath the creature aught of asylum from the Creator, indeed, or artifice against the commandments of Allah Almighty, although Allah in my religion is Yahweh or Adonai or the Shekinah or Hashem. Many, many names for the unnameable one. It's kind of a cosmic joke, isn't it? Then we again clasped Aladdin to his bosom, crying, O my son, I have none to condole with save thyself, and thou standest instead of thy sire, thou being his issue and representative, and whoso leaveth issue dieth not, O my child. That was in quotation marks, must be something from the Quran. It's true though, if you leave children and progeny behind you, you never die. You just die to them because they don't like you for reasons that are complicated and not altogether your fault, but c'est la vie, babies. Life goes on. Their progeny have been denied them by our global calamity, and it's a seeping wound probably for them too, deep down, if they think hard about it, why their mother is in this constant state of grief and rage, and other times jubilation and triumph, and reclaiming her power and her humanness, and her joie de vivre as a rebellion against all the shitfuckery that was done to us not just in the last 4 years either, but that I personally survived 59 and 2/3 years. So there was that. But no one has an obligation to love me. You love me because you love me for whatever reasons. That makes sense only to you. And I will love you back for whatever reasons. That makes sense only to me. Until the time comes that the love dies or lies fallow or gets buried way, way, way down deep where I can't live in that agony anymore, and sometimes it resurfaces and then it gets buried deep again until such time as it's healed or I've reached the stage of eternal forgetting. So saying, the magician put hand to purse and pulling out 10 gold pieces, gave them to the lad, asking, "O my son, where is your house, and where dwelleth she thy mother, and my brother's widow?" Presently Aladdin arose with him, and showed him the way to their home, and meanwhile quoth the wizard, "O my son, take these monies and give them to thy mother, greeting her from me, and let her know that thine uncle, thy father's brother, hath reappeared from his exile, and that, Inshallah, God willing, on the morrow I will visit to salute her with the salam, and see the house wherein my brother was homed, and look upon the place where he lieth buried." It's reasonable, isn't it? You want to see what happened to your true kin. Thereupon Aladdin kissed the Maghrabi's hand, and after running in his joy at full speed to his mother's dwelling, entered to her clean contrariwise to his custom, inasmuch as he never came near her save at meal times only. Fucking little leech and parasite that he was. And when he found her, the lad exclaimed in his delight, "O my mother, I give thee glad tidings of mine uncle who hath returned from his exile, and who now sendeth me to salute thee." "O my son," she replied, "meseemeth thou mockest me. Who is this uncle, and how canst thou have an uncle in the bonds of life?" So the mother's suspicious instantly. He rejoined, "How sayest thou, O my mother, that I have nor living uncles nor kinsmen, when this man is my father's own brother? Indeed, he embraced me and bussed me, shedding tears the while, and bade me acquaint thee herewith." She retorted, "O my son, well I wot thou hadst an uncle, but he is now dead, nor am I aware that thou hast other een." I think she means family by that. The Moroccan magician fared forth next morning and fell to finding out Aladdin, for his heart no longer permitted him to part from the lad, and as he was toing and froing about the city highways, he came face to face with him, disporting himself, as was his wont, amongst the vagabonds and the scapegraces. So he drew near to him, and, taking his hand, embraced him and bussed him, then pulled out of his poke 2 dinars, and said, "Hie thee to thy mother, and give her these couple of ducats. Tell her that thine uncle would eat the evening meal with you. So do thou take these 2 gold pieces, and prepare for us a succulent supper. My kind of man that pays for his dinner. A real man provides Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. I had a good provider, but he wasn't exactly a real man. He was vicious behind my back every day of my marriage, so I got fed well, but the food had a very bitter aftertaste. Trust me on that one. You can't trust a man with your heart, mind, body and soul. And what's the point of having it at all? Ever. Ever. Yuck. But anyway, this con man was generous and provided their supper, knowing that they were poor and it would be a great boon to them, and earned their trust and their love. So manipulation, actually. Let's be real here. Let's not live in fairyland too long. Got to see through the bullshit. But anyway. But before, and all my beautiful friends that I have gifted with my sterling silver jewellery, I want you to know that was not a manipulation, but an acknowledgement of all the wondrous healings and gifts with your music and your beautiful friendship that you have given to me over 14 years. So don't misinterpret what I'm just saying here in this example, because what I gave to you freely from my own heart and soul without any expect of reward or obligation. And I'm gratified and soul nourished and delighted that some of you said thank you so beautifully, even on your own Instagram page. Thank you, Ness. You beautiful girl, you beautiful woman you are. So, but I just wanted to give gifts this year because there's been many years when I have given nothing because I had nothing left to give. And then before that, there were many years when I gave gifts that were tainted and dishonoured and disrespected and even to my face insulted me. I won't say who those people were in the music scene, but it was fucking ugly. So it's taken me years to even want to gift anyone again. So it's a sign that I'm healing people of earth, that I'm putting energy back out into the world and hoping that it blesses whom it pleases without any obligations or soul contracts expected back from me. You love me because you love me, not because of material gifts or monetary energetic flows, although simple thank you is greatly appreciated by me. And it wasn't a simple thank you I received from Ness, it was a huge sign of her deep love for me. My sweet one, my angel, my darling. So, on we go. On my head and mine eyes be it, O my uncle. Another thing I want to say about that, when I send you a talismanic, symbolic healing symbol, the healing is as much for you as it is for me, and I don't expect anything back because it's channeled literally from the gods. In fact, one of my friends, their healing sigil even appeared in the shadowy reflection of my Hanukkah candles. And the Lord moves in mysterious ways. That one is a pagan and he knows how the gods have their own ways of presenting healing and truth and love and harmonic resonance to us. It's very humbling, very magical how that came to be gifted you, my darling one. So I do hope you put them in your bed. They will be powerful and they will be good for you. But if you choose not to, that's your journey and your relationship, and I won't be offended. I just look forward to seeing you wearing them because it's my gift to you, and I hope you enjoy them for many years to come. My intentions were honourable for you is what I'm trying to say. But it is not a soul contract and no one owes me anything. If I tell you you owe me something, it's because you owe me. David Davidson owes me. My mother owes me. It's not many that I hold a kind of a karmic debt to because it's not good to have those binds. But I don't choose to live my life that way. And bondage to other souls. I certainly wouldn't want other souls in bondage to me. I have to chew my arm off. I'll have to chew my arm off. But anyway, I'm joking about that. My love is given, my gifts are given, and when they are received with good grace and good manners and joy and delight, that is my gift back, to see that it pleased you and brought you joy and delight. That is my thank you. On my head and mine eyes be it, O my uncle, replied the lad. And for Wentham, pointing out, I'm going to have to eat something salty. I'm going out of my mind here. One moment. Might grab a drink while I'm out there. Charlie, hop off my foot. Thank you. Just one moment. Sorry, people there. Oh! Sorry, Charlie, too. You just had the house cleaned, Charlie. And look at you decorating the Pride Heart carpet with your art. You've got your little baby. Alright, I'm back, beautiful people of planet Earth, my beloved ones, my true friends, my subscribers, my YouTube internet viewers that stumble across my videos and probably sitting here thinking, what the fuck did I just fall into? What vortex from hell have I just been immersed in for the last sometimes 3 hours? Welcome to Titania's realm. I don't live in your world. You live in mine. I don't live in my world either. I'm under the auspices of Queen Titania of the Forest Fae and the angels, the gods, and the one that created all of this holographic matrix, or whatever you want to call it. We're in it together, but your reality does not have to merge with my reality and have your own reality. But sooner or later, it all becomes a huge cosmic soup, babies. You know, I'm so bloody hungry and crave salt. Anyway, we'll return to the story. On my head and mine eyes, be it, O mine uncle, replied the lad, and forewent him, pointing out the street leading to the house. Where are you going, Charlie? You can't be up there, no. Then the Mormon left him. Moor man, not Mormon. Sounds a bit like Mormon. No offence to Mormons, but I'm going extra O. Alright, I'll stop on ahead, won't I? I can't be a pain in everyone's ass. I can be a bit pedantic. Right. Then the Moor man from Morocco. I get triggered because of those fucking bastards that traumatised me and my children for 18 months. But anyway, I'm sure not all Moroccans are bastards, just those two. To calm my fun. Calm your fun, Tanya. Calm your fun. Left him and went his ways, and Aladdin ran home and giving the news, and the 2 sequins to his parents said, my uncle would sup with us. So she arose straightway, and going to the market street, bought all she required. Then, returning to her dwelling, she borrowed from the neighbours whatever was needed of pots and whatever was needed of pans and platters, and so forth. And when the meal was cooked and supper time came, she said to Aladdin, O my child, the meat is ready, but peradventure thine uncle wotteth not the way to our dwelling. In other words, doesn't know the way. So do thou fare forth and meet him on the road. He replied, to hear is to obey. I like that. To hear is to obey. And before the twain ended talking, a knock was heard at the door. Should have said, but before the twain ended talking, but never mind. Let's not be too pedantic. I know, I didn't write this story, as you can tell. I would have written in plain English with lots of expletives and colourful adjectives. It would have been way more intense than it already is, but sometimes it's nice to have the old English language. Play games with our fragile little minds. Open new pathways. Keep the synapses synapsing. Make me work for it. Oh, I'm so tired of having to work for every little thing. Jesus. Not Jesus. But you know what I mean. Aladdin went out and opened. When? Behold, the Maghrabi, the magician, together with an eunuch, carrying the wine and the dessert fruits. So the lad led them in, and the slave went about his business. The Mormon, on entering, saluted his sister-in-law with the salam, then began to shed tears and to question her, saying, Where be the place whereon my brother went to sit? She showed it to him, whereat he went up to it and prostrated himself in prayer. To prostrate is to lie down on the floor. And kissed the floor, crying, Ah, how scant is my satisfaction, and how luckless is my lot, for that I have lost thee, O my brother, O vein of my eye, vein of my eye. It's an unusual expression, isn't it? I guess we do kind of have some veins in our eye, but anyway, must be a Islamic expression. See, we learn new things by reading fairy stories. It's delightful, isn't it? If you're sticking with me this long, including my early emotionalism, you're a very brave man, Gungadin, or woman. I'll salute you. Not many can forbear the Tanya and her full emotional range. Anyway, I'm not that bad. Just have little, it's like age, I'm getting, in the post-COVID epoch, I'm getting more and more kind of labile, but it's all good. I was watching Thomas Sheridan video the other day. He was very emotional in that video too. He's talking about Christmas ghost stories. It's about my age group. And I thought, oh, I'm actually glad to see him showing that he was emotional in war too, because it tells me that I'm not the only one having this intense recalibrations of our spirit. Let's put it delicately like that. Especially gratifying to see an older male be emotional like that too, because men usually make the serious, burdensome, life-threatening mistake of smothering all their emotions, trying to appear tough and hard-ass and got everything under control, and when they crack, it's far worse crack up than any of us that are authentic and real and sweet and show our emotions. Just saying. Anyway, no judgment though, each to their own. You deal with life the best way you can, that you know how, and don't ever try and smother those of us who are sensitive and sweet and authentic and emotional. We have our own way of coping with life that it's just same but different. Charlie, you got my beautiful book all wet when you had a bath in my drink. Like, was that really necessary? So he's prostrated himself in prayer and kissed the floor, crying, "Oh, how scant is my satisfaction, and how luckless is my lot, for that I have lost thee, O my brother. O vein of my eye." Lost him to death, but I lost most of my family to abuse and cumulative trauma. They're not dead, but they might as well be to me, because they're gone, long gone. Odd, isn't it? I don't wish them dead. They twist my words and say, "Oh, you wish me dead." No, but you're not here. You're not here in my life. So you're just a ghost in the machine. It's worse than death, actually. At least in death, you can go to the funeral and you can grieve and get over it eventually. Anything other than that's just a seeping, toxic, fucking wound. Constant, suppurating boil of oozing pus. But not to them, because they don't have real emotions and they don't care. But I care. This is my blessing and my curse. Council's mowing the lawns. I'm always happy when they come to mow. After such fashion he continued weeping and wailing till he swooned away for excess of sobbing and lamentation. Put on quite a turn, didn't he? Quite a performance, actually. Somebody should give him an Academy Award. You can overdo the emotionalism sometimes. That's why you see me even sometimes when I'm out, shutting all the steel doors like Maxwell Smart, you know, this comedy Get Smart, all the doors shutting, clanging as he walks on, past through all the, that's how I go in my psyche when there's abusers around me. I just, and I'll get up and order another Jack Daniels and I'll just sip my drink. I'm actually mentally far, far away, but you can't always tell because I'm dancing wildly and I'm maintaining that presence through my dance, but my mind's clear and removed, but I'm in the zone, and sometimes that's when my angels or my guides or my gods move in and don me like a cloak, and that's when you don't dare fucking touch me or fuck with me, because you're not dealing with just me anymore, you're dealing with me and my angelic hosts, whoever they might be in that moment in time, and can't always tell. Even I don't question it now. Just accept with grace and work it through until the music stops. Then I move out of trance and wave goodbye and I go home, happy and replete. Pushing my buttons when I'm in that state though is a very foolish and dangerous thing to do. I'm a shaman, but I don't control who comes through. And those of you in the bands who've been watching me do this for 14 years know better. Just saying. I've witnessed it many, many times. It's how I've healed you and myself simultaneously, symbiotically, and how other revelers around me, unbeknownst to them, have sometimes received a healing. Again, given freely and without any expectations. It's that basic respect for my body autonomy and my being and my isness. Don't impede on other people. Don't fucking impede on me. Anyway. Oh, Charlie, my goodness. That's massive. I thought I brought the cloth up. I'll be back. She's just done a massive dump on me. I'll put the cloth back in. Where did I put it? Oh, Charlie. My goodness. Right. We have a wet cloth. Let us continue, my darlings, my babies, my angels, my sweethearts, my gorgeous ones, my friends, my countrymen. No doubt there's a few enemies that probably moonlight on my YouTube channel too, because they've got Schadenfreude or they're that fucking bored Well, they still haven't worked out who I am or why they miss me. No accounting for. Can't make sense out of nonsense, as they used to say to me. Anyway, where were we, my darlings? Right, he swooned into a fate from over-emotionalism over his dead brother. Wherefore, Aladdin's mother was certified of his soothfastness, his integrity and honesty. So coming up to him, she raised him from the floor and said, "What gain is there in slaying thyself, indeed?" Maxwell Smart, let's shut all the doors and all that stupidity and leave it behind and walk on, head our way. Quite capable of it. Remember that. Walked away from Irish Murphys, walked away from the casino. I love the space I dance in, but God's forfend if it should ever turn really, really toxic, I'll walk away too. But it won't be done lightly because I love that space and by and large everyone's been so inclusive and loving to me. It would be a great source of great pain to me if I should ever have to walk away. But I'll be out dancing on Friday night for my beautiful ramjet, as I always do every Friday night. With great joy and delight. After consoling him, she placed him upon the divan, and as soon as he was seated at his ease and before the food trays were served up, he fell to talking with her and saying, "O wife of my brother, it must be a wonder to thee, how in all thy days thou never sawest me, nor learnest thou aught of me during the lifetime of my brother, who hath found mercy. Now the reason is that 40 years ago I left this town and exiled myself from my birthplace and wandered forth over all the lands of Al-Hind and Al-Sind, which are India and Pakistan, and entered Egypt and settled for a long time in its magnificent city, which is one of the world wonders, till at last I fared to the regions of the setting sun and abode for a space of 30 years in the Moroccan interior." Well, I just don't trust you, Charlie. You keep shitting. You're going to shit in my hair. Now one day of the days, O wife of my brother, as I was sitting alone at home, I fell to thinking of mine own country and of my birthplace and of my brother, who hath found mercy, and my yearning to see him waxed excessive, and I bewept and bewailed my strangerhood and distance from him. It's kind of odd synchronicity that I just found out a few days ago that my estranged sister, half-sister, is very ill and potentially dying, I guess. Odd how these things come to slam you, like slamming metallic doors, constantly slamming in the face until what? Nothing I can do about it. People have made their choices by their own free will. Just smile and move on. I know I seem hard and shellacked, but I grieved enough over that woman over the 12 years, so I'm done grieving over people who were toxic and evil to me. there's nothing left to give. The love and the healing that I give willingly to others flow with great joy and delight, but people start turning vicious and toxic and evil towards me, just stem that flow. Close the door, open another door, open only for those who are capable of being kind and honouring and loving back. It's just how it is, people of Earth. It's been a lifetime of learning these skills on the coalface, literally, almost at the point of my own death at times. So let go, let God. Find the peace within and let it flow without. At last my longings drave me homewards until I resolved upon travelling to the region which was the falling place of my head and my homestead, to the end that I might again see my brother. Then quoth I to myself, O man, how long wilt thou wander like a wild Arab from thy place of birth and native stead? Moreover, thou hast but one brother and no more. So up with thee and travel and look upon him ere thou die. For who wotteth the woes of the world and the changes of the days? Indeed, we don't know what's ahead of us. None of us do really. We think we know, but the gods decide and decree what is our fate. Who shall be holding our hand at the end of our lives with great love and devotion, sweetness and kindness and loyalty and fidelity? And who won't? It's just the way it is, babies. No one, no human soul can truly know who'll be there for them throughout life or as we get older and more fragile in our silvery days. 'Twould be saddest regret, and thou lie down to die without beholding thy brother, and Allah, Lord be to the Lord, hath vouchsafed thee ample wealth, and belike he may be straitened and in poor case, when thou wilt aid thy brother as well as see him. So I arose at once and equipped me for wayfare, and recited the Fatiha, and then, when as Friday prayers ended, I mounted and travelled to this town, after suffering manifold toils and travails, which I patiently endured, whilst the Lord, to whom be honour and glory, veiled me with his veil of his protection. So I entered, and whilst wandering about the streets the day before yesterday, I beheld my brother's son Aladdin disporting himself with the boys, and by God the Great, O wife of my brother, the moment I saw him, this heart of mine went forth to him. For blood yearneth unto blood, and my soul felt and informed me that he was my very nephew. So I forgot all my travails and troubles at once on sighting him. And I was like to fly for joy. But when he told me of the dear one's departure to the ruth of Allah Almighty, the compassion of Allah Almighty, I fainted for sense of distress and disappointment. Perchance, however, my nephew hath informed thee, meaning you, of the pains which prevailed upon me. But after a fashion I am consoled by the sight of Aladdin, the legacy bequeathed to us by him who hath found mercy, for that whoso leaveth issue is not wholly dead. Well, it's too late for my girls now, I think. It's too late, there'll be no progeny. And anyway, progeny are expensive, bloody hard work and a 20-year commitment, so there was that. They're probably glad that there'll be no children, but it was, it's not good, people birth. It's not good. And when he looked at his sister-in-law, she wept at these his words. So he turned to the lad that he might cause her forget the mention of her mate, as a means of comforting her, and also of completing his deceit, and asked him, saying, O my son Aladdin, what hast thou learned in the way of work, and what is thy business? Say me, hast thou mastered any craft, whereby to earn a livelihood for thyself and for thy mother? The lad was abashed and put to shame, and he hung down his head and bowed his brow downwards. But his parent spake out, How forsooth? By Allah, he knoweth nothing at all. A child so ungracious as this I never yet saw, no, never. All the day long he idleth away his time with the sons of the quarter, vagabonds like himself, and his father, oh regret of me, died not save of dolour for him, sadness for him. And I also am now in piteous plight. I spin cotton and toil at my distaff night and day, that I may earn a couple of scones of bread, which we eat together. This is his condition, O my brother-in-law, and, by the life of thee, he cometh not near me save at meal times, and none other. Indeed, I'm thinking to lock the house door, nor ever open to him again, but leave him to go and seek a livelihood whereby he can live, for that I am now grown a woman in years, and have no longer strength to toil and go about for a maintenance after this fashion. O Allah, I am compelled to provide him with daily bread, when I require to be provided. Hereat, the Moorman turned to Aladdin and said, Why is this, O son of my brother, that thou goest about in such ungraciousness? 'Tis a disgrace to thee and unsuitable for men like thyself. Thou art a youth of sense, O my son, and a child of honest folk. So 'tis for thee a shame that thy mother, a woman in years, should struggle to support thee. And now that thou hast grown to man's estate, it becometh thee to devise thee some device, whereby thou canst live, O my son. Look around thee, and Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah. In this our town are many teachers of all manner of crafts, and nowhere are they more numerous. So choose thee some calling which may please thee, to the end that I establish thee therein. And when thou growest up, O my son, thou shalt have some business whereby to live. Haply thy father's industry may not be to thy liking, and, if so it be, choose thee some other handicraft, which suiteth like thy fancy, like my silversmithing, am I right? I put out a prayer the very end of 2019, I had a sense that there was some intense darkness coming. I didn't know what, but I'd had my near-death experience on 25th of June 2019, and a few near-deaths that slammed me after that actually in November, and I was like, fuck, if I'm going to survive the next 10 or 20 years, I need to find a way to earn my own living in the event that my pension gets cut off or some other outrageous calamity happens. So, very early 2020, I think it was in January 8th actually, Spirit led me to go to a second-hand shop, and I was more or less coerced into buying a pair of antique cufflinks, rose gold cufflinks. And I remember saying to the woman in the shop, why do I want these? I don't know what to do with them. You'll find something to do with them. You're creative. You'll work it out. While you're here, buy this fork. But what do I want a fork for? She said, flatware. People are making jewellery from it. They're making a living from that. I looked at her. Really, I said? So I bought the cufflinks and the fork. I took it home and I looked up YouTube, and videos on how to make things with flatware. And I made a thing out of the fork and posted it up on the Art of Jewellery website actually. And someone at 5 o'clock in the morning the next day headhunted me and said, come and join my group. I won't name the group because they turned toxic too, but never mind. I'm still grateful for her headhunting me and sharing her knowledge from her group. Initially, at least for about 6 months I was in there. And that's why I won't belong to groups that will have me as a member, because they invariably turn toxic. But anyway, I gained a lot of knowledge and advice from lovely people that were in that group. They weren't all assholes. And I learnt how to make things from flatware, and I found out what tools I would need, and it got me started. So thank you to the people in that group that were kind and sweet and generous of your knowledge and honouring. And then from then on, I left that group when it became vile beyond belief, and I joined another group called the Women's Metalsmith Collective on Facebook, and women from all over the world, some of them 50 years experience as jewellers, guided and supported me through the process of teaching myself casting, and that got me going on that. And after many failures, because I was a rank beginner, I had no idea actually what it was I was trying to achieve, and it was actually quite audacious and way beyond ambitious and way beyond my knowledge base. They guided me through that. After many failures, they actually said to me, those beautiful women, we're so proud of you, Tanya. They said you persevered and you persisted and you persisted and you persisted until you learnt how to do it. And we didn't tell you, we were kind of sitting back and smiling at you lovingly, with still offering you encouragement and support, but smiling at you with amazement, because they said you kept going until you learnt that skill, and it's actually an intermediate or an advanced technique, and we were quite astonished at what you were able to achieve just with your persistence and your humility alone to accept instruction and criticism. And there were times I was a bit annoyed with some of the criticism I received, by the way, but I held my tongue in my anger, and I just thought, I'm learning, and I'm not going to learn anything if I get angry and frustrated at every turn. So I held my peace, and because of that, those beautiful souls, those beautiful women, kept teaching me what I needed to know so I could achieve that aim. So you see, humility, perseverance, holding your temper, which for me is difficult at times, given my trauma issues and my emotionalism, can bear very strange fruits. Even make me somewhat successful in my old age. Unfortunately, my jewellery hasn't sold, which is why I decided to gift it to people that I thought might enjoy it and benefit from it, especially when I turned them into kind of little symbols of healings. And I'm happy about that. I'm very, very happy. So on we go, my babies. Find something you're good at and persevere at it. Unfortunately, with the silversmithing, it costs a lot of money to buy in silver and resources and equipment, and it's expensive in time and energy. For example, one project I did recently took me 6 days to make both items, and I don't resent the 6 days because I was, it's good practice for me. I hadn't been silversmithing for some months, so you need to practice your skills, or you use it or lose it. I did it with great joy and delight and perseverance, and even managed to complete them in the deadline I had set for myself, so I could give them to my friend. And it's a gift of my own labour and my own skill set that I've hard won over the last 3 years since I started the silversmithing journey. And it's a gift of heart, and it's a gift of spirit, and so on and so forth. And I aspire to learn many new skills in the future and hone my skills and even maybe make more extravagant jewellery, like learn how to set diamonds and rubies and sapphires, when and if I can afford them, by the way. And, become a real jeweller. But that's a long-term plan, because need money and resources and energy, physical, mental, emotional. Pardon me, energy for that. But it's something that I know is potentiate now, and I can aspire to. There might be other skills that I might acquire in the next however long the gods allot me on planet Earth for me to learn. Like I learnt spinning wool, for example, which was also very, very interesting and soul nourishing. Don't be afraid to learn new things, and don't be afraid to not know things, and don't be afraid to fail over and over and over again until you gain mastery. Nothing comes immediately so easily to everyone. Some of us have got blockages and traumascapes that we have to fight through, and not everyone has talents in every avenue in life. There's people who can pick up a guitar and play it by ear and play the most beautiful music. There's others that had to struggle to learn every chord and every note, and it took time and effort, but then they became maestros, the kings of the Brisbane music scene. To you all, my darlings, thank you for your hard work and effort and learning, and the gifts that you give from your own heart, mind, body and souls. It's deeply valued and appreciated by me, and brought great joy to many of us for many, many years. It's why I tolerate the occasional sadomasochistic little games that you play. Don't like it, but I tolerate it, because in the broad scheme of things, created that beautiful space for me. You tolerated my quirky, weird ways too. And that, my friends, is real and true love, full acceptance of each other, and however aspects that we present to you. Some days are just bad days. Bad days. But we can overlook the few bad quirks. But if they escalate and continue, We'll have to rethink it out again, babies. What you do, Charlie? My sweet potato salad went all sloshy and mushy and became like mashed potato salad, which wasn't quite the plan, but anyway, still tastes nice. So yes, there's many things I fail at, but when I thrive, when I succeed, it's an extravaganza. Pretty girl. What do you succeed at? Giving to mama kisses. Giving to mama kisses. I know. You're a smoochy girl today. We're going to get lots and lots of rain because the ants are all running around my kitchen bench up high. There'll be flooding coming, I think, which is not good. I don't get flooded here, thank the gods, but it's not good when the rest of Brisbane floods, is it, Charlie? No, it's not. So anyway, the Moorman is telling Aladdin to get a trade or an occupation of some kind, which is, wise. But when the Maghrabi saw that Aladdin kept silence and made him no reply, he knew that the lad wanted none other occupation than a scapegrace life. So he said to him, O son of my brother, let not my words seem hard and harsh to thee, for if, despite all I say, thou shalt dislike to learn a craft, I will open thee a merchant's store, furnished with costliest stuffs, and thou shalt become famous amongst the folk, and take and give and buy and sell and be well known in the city. He's handing him his future on a plate. It's pretty generous, isn't it? Wow. My future was handed to me on a plate too when I was married with my husband. I had my own business. It cost me my house in the end, but I did have my own business. Now when Aladdin heard the words of his uncle the Moorman and the design of making him a Khwaja, Khwajah, merchant and gentleman, he joyed exceedingly, knowing that such folk dress handsomely and fare delicately. He looked at the Maghrabi smiling and drooping his head downwards and saying with the tongue of the case that he was content. The Maghrabi, the magician, looked at Aladdin and saw him smiling, whereby he understood that the lad was satisfied to become a trader. So he said to him, Since thou art content that I open thee a merchant's store and make thee a gentleman, do thou, O son of my brother, prove thyself a man, and inshallah, God willing, tomorrow I will take thee to the bazaar in the first place, and will have a fine suit of clothes cut out for thee, such gear as merchants wear, and secondly, I will look after a store for thee and keep my word. A little bit too little to be true, am I right? I'd be suspicious if it were me, but it's just me. Now Aladdin's mother had somewhat doubted the Moroccan being her brother-in-law, but as soon as she heard his promise of opening a merchant's store for his son and setting him up with stuffs and capital and so forth, the woman decided and determined in her mind that this Maghrabi was in very sooth her husband's brother, seeing that no stranger would do such a goodly deed by her son. So she began directing the lad to the right road and teaching him to cast ignorance from out of his head and to prove himself a man. Moreover, she bade him ever obey his excellent uncle as though he were his son, and to make up for the time he had wasted in frowardness with his fellows. After this, she arose and spread the table, then served up supper. So all sat down and fell to eating and drinking, while the Maghrabi conversed with Aladdin upon matters of business and the like, rejoicing him to such degree that he enjoyed no sleep that night. But when the Moorman saw that the dark hours were passing by and the wine was drunken, he arose and sped to his own stead, but ere going, he agreed to return next morning and take Aladdin and look to his suit of merchant's clothes, being cut out for him. As soon as it was dawn, behold, the Maghrabi rapped at the door, which was opened by Aladdin's mother. Just notice my beautiful Brindabella roses in bloom. It's lovely. The Moorman, however, would not enter, but asked to take the lad with him to the market street. Accordingly, Aladdin went forth to his uncle and wished him good morning, kissed his hand, and the Moroccan took him by the hand and fared with him to the bazaar. There he entered a clothier's shop containing all kinds of clothes, and called for a suit of the most sumptuous. Whereat the merchant brought him out his need, all wholly fashioned and ready sewn. And the Moorman said to the lad, "Choose, O my child, what so pleaseth thee." Aladdin rejoiced exceedingly, seeing that his uncle had given him his choice. So he picked out the suit most to his liking, and the Moroccan paid to the merchant the price thereof in ready money. Presently he led the lad to the hammam baths, where they bathed. Then they came out and drank sherbets, after which Aladdin arose and, donning his new dress, in huge joy and delight, went up to his uncle and kissed his hand and thanked him for his favours. Here we have a picture of the marketplace. The Maghrabi, the magician, after leaving the hammam with Aladdin, took him and trudged with him to the merchant's bazaar, and having diverted him by showing the market and its sellings and buyings, said to him, "O my son, it besitteth thee to become familiar with the folk, especially with the merchants, so thou mayest learn of them merchant craft, seeing that the same hath now become thy calling." Wise words indeed. Then he led him forth and showed him the city and its cathedral mosques, together with all the pleasant sights therein, and lastly made him enter a cook's shop. Here dinner was served to them on platters of silver, and they dined well and ate and drank their sufficiency, after which they went their ways. Presently the Moorman pointed out to Aladdin the pleasances and noble buildings, and went in with him to the Sultan's palace and diverted him with displaying all the apartments which were mighty fine and grand, and led him finally to the Khan of stranger merchants, where he himself had his abode. Then the Moroccan invited sundry traders which were in the caravanserai, and they came and sat down to supper, when he notified to them that the youth was his nephew, Aladdin by name. And after they had eaten and drunken, and night had fallen, he rose up, and taking the lad with him, led him back to his mother, who no sooner saw her boy as he were one of the merchants than her wits took flight, and she waxed sad for very gladness. She wept tears of joy, is what they meant, I think. Then she fell to thanking her false connection, the Moor man, for his benefits, for all his benefits, and said to him, "O my brother-in-law, I can never say enough, though I express my gratitude to thee during the rest of thy days, and praise thee for the good deeds thou hast done by this my child." Thereupon quoth the Moroccan, "O wife of my brother, deem this not mere kindness of me, for that the lad is mine own son, and 'tis incumbent on me to stand in the stead of my brother his sire, so be thou fully satisfied." And quoth she, "I pray Allah, by the honour of the Hallows, the ancients and the moderns, that he preserve thee and cause thee to continue, O my brother-in-law, and prolong for me thy life, so thou shall be a wing overshadowing this orphan lad, and he shall ever be obedient to thine orders, nor shall he do aught save whatso thou biddest him thereunto." The Maghrabi replied, "O wife of my brother, Aladdin is now a man of sense and a son of goodly folk, and I hope to Allah that he will follow in the footsteps of his sire. Cool thine eyes. But I regret that tomorrow being Friday, I shall not be able to open his shop, as 'tis meeting day with all the merchants. After congregational prayer, go forth to the gardens and pleasaunces. On the Sabbath, however, inshallah, and it please the Creator, we will do our business. Meanwhile tomorrow I will come to thee betimes and take Aladdin for a pleasant stroll to the gardens and pleasaunces without the city," which means outside of the city, "which haply he may hitherto not have beheld." He may have never gone there before. "There also he shall see the merchants and notables who go forth to amuse themselves, so shall he become acquainted with them, and they with him." The Maghrabi went away and lay that night in his quarters, and early next morning he came to the tailor's house and rapped at the door. Now Aladdin, for stress of his delight in the new dress he had donned, and for the past day's enjoyment in the hammam, and in eating and drinking and gazing at the folk, expecting furthermore his uncle to come at dawn and carry him off on pleasuring to the gardens, had not slept a wink that night, nor closed his eyelids, and would hardly believe it when day broke. But hearing the knock at the door, he went out at once, in hot haste, like a spark of fire, and opened and saw his uncle the magician, who embraced him and kissed him. Then, taking his hand, the Moorman said to him as they fared forth together, "O son of my brother, this day will I show thee a sight thou never sawest in all my life." And he began to make the lad laugh and cheer him with pleasant talk. So doing, they left the city gate, and the Moroccan took to promenading with Aladdin, same thing. amongst the gardens, and to pointing out for his pleasure the mighty fine presences in the marvellous high-builded pavilions. And whenever they stood to stare at a garth or a mansion or a palace, the Maghrabi would say to his companion, "Doth this please thee, O son of my brother?" Aladdin was nigh to fly with delight at seeing sights he had never seen in all his born days, and they ceased not to stroll about and solace themselves until they waxed aweary, when they entered a mighty grand garden which was near hand, a place that the heart delighted and the sight delighted, for that its swift running rills flowed amidst the flowers, and the waters jetted from the jaws of lions moulded in yellow brass like unto gold. So they took seat over against a lakelet and rested a little while, and Aladdin enjoyed himself with joy exceeding, and fell to jesting with his uncle and making merry with him, as though the magician were really his father's brother. Presently the Maghrabi arose and, loosing his girdle, drew forth from thereunder a bag of victual, dried fruits and so forth, saying to Aladdin, "O my nephew, haply thou art become an hungered, so come forward and eat what thou needest." Accordingly the lad fell upon the food, and the Moorman ate with him, and they were gladdened and cheered by rest and good cheer. Then quoth the magician, "Arise, O son of my brother, and thou be reposed, and let us stroll onwards a little and reach the end of our walk." Thereupon Aladdin arose, and the Moroccan paced with him from garden to garden until they left all behind them and reached the base of a high and naked hill, when the lad who, during all his days, had never issued from the city gate, and never in his life had walked such a walk as this, said to the Maghrabi, "O uncle mine, whither are we wending? We have left the gardens behind us, one and all, and have reached the barren hill country, and if the way be still long, I have no strength left for walking. Indeed, I am ready to fall with fatigue. There are no gardens before us, so let us hark back and return to town." Said the magician, "No, O my son, this is the right road, nor are the gardens ended, for we are going to look at one which hath ne'er its like amongst those of the kings. And thou hast beheld, and all thou hast beheld are naught in comparison therewith." You can tell I'm getting tired and starting to stumble. "Then gird thy courage to walk, thou art now a man, Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah." Then the Maghrabi fell to soothing Aladdin with soft words, and telling him wondrous tales, lies as well as truth, until they reached the site intended by the African magician. Who had travelled from the sunset land to the regions of China for the sake thereof. And when they made the place, the Moorman said to Aladdin, "O son of my brother, sit thee down and take thy rest, for this is the spot we are now seeking, and, Inshallah, soon will I divert thee by displaying marvel matters, whose like not one in the world ever saw, nor hath any solaced himself with gazing upon that which thou art about to behold. No one of created beings hath enjoyed the sights thou art about to see. But when thou art rested, arise and seek some wood chips and fuel sticks, which be small and dry, wherewith we may kindle a fire. Then will I show thee, O son of my brother, matters beyond the range of matter. Now, when the lad heard these words, he longed to look upon what his uncle was about to do, and, forgetting his fatigue, he rose forthright and fell to gathering small wood chips and dry sticks, and continued until the Moorman cried to him, "Enough, O son of my brother." Presently the magician brought out from his breast pocket a casket, which he opened, and drew from it all he needed of incense. Then he fumigated and conjured and adjured, muttering words none might understand, and the ground straightway clave asunder. After thick gloom and quake of earth and bellowings of thunder, hereat Aladdin was startled and so affrighted that he tried to fly. By that, I don't mean actual flying, but fly as in Old English for run away, to flee, to fly, to escape. But when the African magician saw his design, meaning his intentions, his plans, he waxed wroth with exceeding wrath, for that without the lad his work would profit him naught, and the hidden hoard which he sought to open being not to be opened save by means of Aladdin. So noting this attempt to run away, the magician arose and, raising his hand, smote Aladdin on the head, a buffet so sore, hit him across the head, that well nigh his back teeth were knocked out, and he fell swooning to the ground. But after a time he revived by the magic of the magician, and cried, weeping the while, "O my uncle, what have I done that deserveth from thee such a blow as this?" It's them resting a while by the lakelet. We've made Aladdin in that picture look extremely feminine at first glance. You'd think it was a girl. I wonder why they did that. Anyway, it doesn't matter whether feminine, masculine, trans, heterosexual. Aladdin is Aladdin. We accept him the way he is. Scapegrace that he was. Anyway. Hereat, after asking why he belted him across the head, hereat the Maghrabi fell to soothing him and said, "O my son, 'tis my intent to make thee a man." What, by hitting someone across the head? Oh, well, we all had parents like that, didn't we? Some of us. Jesus. Therefore, do thou not gainsay me, for that I am thine uncle, and like unto thy father. Obey me, therefore, in all I bid thee, and shortly thou shalt forget all this travail and toil, whenas thou shalt look upon the marvel matters I am about to show thee. And soon after the ground had cloven asunder, before the Moroccan displayed a marble slab, wherein was fixed a copper ring. The Maghrabi, striking a geomantic table, turned to Aladdin and said to him, "An thou do all I shall bid thee, Indeed, thou shalt become wealthier than any of the kings. And for this reason, O my son, I struck thee, because here lieth a hoard which is stored in thy name, and yet thou designest to leave it and to Levant. Levant is basically go west. Go west, life is peaceful there. Oh, don't mind me. Anyway, but now, or is it east, the Levant? I think I'm wrong. I do believe I might be wrong there, which will make my little singing even more hilarious if I'm wrong. I'm often wrong. I'm not perfect, people are there. It's east. It's east, people of Earth. I was wrong. The eastern shoreline of the Mediterranean, the region approximately 800 kilometres long and 150 kilometres wide, characterised by a unique combination of climatic zones and relief patterns. Dear Goddess, what does the want mean? It means the east. So where did I get west from? I kind of knew as soon as I sang that little song. I thought, no, that's not right, Tanya. You've muddled things up again, Tanya Lou. Is this what dying feels like? Watching your brain slowly dissemble? Well, I am tired, and I'm also human. That's why I want to enjoy every bit of joy with a beautiful man who loves me while I still can, because by the gods, if I get Alzheimer's, that is the worst kind of declension. Trust me on that. Anyway, mustn't manifest that reality, babies. We must not manifest that reality. I want to dance, be with my sweet beloved ones, my friends and other revellers in the dance scene for as long as I can. Don't have anything else left in my life anyway, so take that away from me, you might as well fucking kill me. I'm being maudlin though, because everything's fine. Everything is fine. I'm just holding on to my brain for as long as I can. Yes, Charlie. But now collect thy thoughts, and behold how I opened earth by my spells and adjurations. Under yon stone, wherein the rings sat, lieth the treasure wherewith I acquainted thee. So set thy hand upon the ring and raise the slab, for none other amongst the folk, thyself excepted, hath power to open it. Or may any of mortal birth, save thyself, set foot within this enchanted treasury, which hath been kept for thee. It's a bit strange, isn't it? That's why he chose him, I guess. But 'tis needful that thou learn of me all wherewith I would charge thee, nor gainsay e'en a single syllable of my words. All this, O my child, is for thy good, the hoard being of immense value, whose like the kings of the world never accumulated. And do thou remember that 'tis for thee and me. So poor Aladdin forgot his fatigue and buffet and tear-shedding. He was stunned and dazed at the Maghrabi's words, and rejoiced that he was fated to become rich in such measure that not even the sultans would be richer than himself. Accordingly, he cried, "O my uncle, bid me do all thou pleasest, for I will be obedient unto thy bidding." The Maghrabi replied, "Come to me, come to me. O my nephew, thou art to me as my own child, and even dearer, for being my brother's son, and for my having none other kith and kin except thyself, and thou, O my child, art my heir and my successor." So saying, he went up to Aladdin and kissed him. So kiss, Charlie. And said, "For whom do I intend these my labours? Indeed, each and every one are for thy sake, O my son, to the end that I may leave thee a rich man, and one of the very greatest." So gainsay me not in all I shall say to thee, and now go up to yonder ring, and uplift it as I bade thee. Yes, little baby girl. You need to make another ring. I'm going to attempt to make a sterling silver ring with some of the leftover gold that I melted from those cufflinks I told you about earlier. It's not a lot of gold, but I can blend it in. It's a technique in casting that I want to try. The only thing I hesitate is if I fuck it up, I'm going to lose a fair bit of gold, because when you melt gold, you lose about 50%. It just evaporates into the air. So I may not have enough to put much gold into the ring, is what I'm saying. But I want to kind of, just out of curiosity, try. I didn't pay me very much for those cufflinks, and the other gold that I melted in with it were like a few scrap earrings and that. So there's not a lot, but it might make an interesting new creation. I can only try. And if I fail, it's a financial loss, and then I might lose some of the gold, but I'll also be inspired to do better next time. Yes, I think that's my next project. Something for me to work on. And it won't be a gift for anyone, so there'll be no pressure on me to make sure that it's good enough or perfect or works out. And yeah, and anyway, the joy of metalsmithing is if you have a failure, like a complete failure with something, you can always melt it down again. Although you lose half your gold, but silver, you just add a bit of fresh silver casting grain to freshen it up, and you don't get such a loss. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, I'll think about that. Been thinking about it on and off for about a month. So the gods and the angels are inspiring me. The Greek muses are inspiring me to have a go at that one. I don't really need any more rings though. So it's just a project to practice a new skill on, which is double casting with two different metals. And it will involve me making a wax ring too, which I'm not very good at working with the wax. I have a bit of a phobia I've developed over that actually. So it's another thing I have to persevere at and keep improving on my skills. Indeed, each and every are for thy sake, O my son, to the end that I may leave thee a rich man, one of the greatest, the very greatest. So gainsay me not in all I shall say to thee, and now go up to yonder ring, and uplift it as I bade thee. Aladdin answered, O uncle mine, this ring is over heavy for me. I cannot raise it single-handed. So do thou also come forward, and lend me strength and aidance towards uplifting it, for indeed I am young in years." The Moorman replied, "O son of my brother, we shall find it impossible to do aught if I assist thee, and all our efforts would be in vain. But do thou set thy hand upon the ring and pull it up, and thou shalt raise the slab forthright, and in very sooth I told thee that none can touch it save thyself. But," just climbed into my hand, "but whilst howling at it, cease not to pronounce thy name and the names of thy father and mother, so 'twill rise at once to thee, nor shalt thou feel its weight." Thereupon the lad mustered up strength and girt the loins of resolution and did as the Moroccan had bidden him, and hove up the slab with all ease when he pronounced his name and the names of his parents, even as the magician had bidden him. And as soon as the stone was raised, he threw it aside. After Aladdin had raised the slab from over the entrance to the hoard, there appeared before him a sardab, a souterrain, whereunto led a case of some 12 stairs. And the Maghrabi said, "Oh, Aladdin." She loves it when I read these stories, doesn't she? "Collect thy thoughts, and do whatso I bid thee to the minutest detail, nor fail in aught thereof. I love you, I love you. Go down with all care into yonder vault, until thou reach the bottom, and there shalt thou find a space divided into 4 halls, and in each of these thou shalt see 4 golden jars, and others of virgin, ore, and silver. Beware, however, lest thou take aught therefrom, or touch them, nor allow thy gown or its skirts even to brush the jars or the walls. Leave them and fare forwards until thou reach the 4th hall without lingering for a single moment on the way. And if thou do aught contrary thereto, thou wilt be at once transformed and become a black stone. When reaching the 4th hall, thou wilt find therein a door, which do thou open, and pronouncing the names thou spakest over the slab, enter there through into a garden adorned everywhere with fruit-bearing trees. You'd like that, wouldn't you, Charlie? Fruit-bearing trees. This thou must traverse by a path thou wilt see in front of thee, measuring some 50 cubits long, beyond which thou wilt come upon an open saloon, and therein a ladder of some 30 rungs. And thou shalt also see, hanging from its ceiling, so mount the ladder, and take that lamp, and place it in thy breast pocket, after pouring out its contents. Nor fear evil from it for thy clothes, because its contents are not common oil. And on return thou art allowed to pluck from the trees whatso thou pleasest, for all is thine, so long as the lamp is in thy hand." Now when the Moorman ended his charge to Aladdin, he drew off a seal ring and put it upon the lad's forefinger, saying, "O my son, verily this signet shall free thee from all hurt and fear which may threaten thee, but only on condition, excuse me, but only on condition that thou bear in mind all I have told thee. So arise straightway and go down the stairs, strengthening thy purpose and girding the loins of resolution. Moreover, oh, are you cranky because I moved my hand around and you having snuggles? Oh, you cranky now, cranky girl. Moreover, fear not, for thou needs a comma. Moreover, fear not, for thou art now a man, and no longer a child. And in shortest time, O my son, thou shalt win thee immense riches, and thou shalt become, he's in Valhalla, darling, and thou shalt become the wealthiest of the world. Accordingly, Aladdin arose and descended into the souterrain, where he found the 4 halls, each containing 4 jars of gold, and these he passed by, as the Moroccan had bidden him, with the utmost care and caution. Thence he fared into the garden and walked along its length until he entered the saloon, where he mounted the ladder and took the lamp, which he extinguished, pouring out the oil which was therein, and placing it in his breast pocket. Presently, descending the ladder, he returned to the garden, where he fell to gazing at the trees, whereupon sat birds, glorifying with loud voices their great Creator. Yes, like you, Charlie. You glorified the Creator this morning. He was singing happily when Rati was cleaning. She even commented on your beautiful singing. She doesn't often sing like that either, so it was really sweet. You're in a very happy mood today, Charlie. You're a very happy birdie. Yes, a smoochy bird. Thence he fared into the garden and walked along its length until he entered the saloon, where he mounted the ladder and took the lamp, which he extinguished, pouring out the oil that was therein, and placing it in his breast pocket. Presently, descending the ladder, he returned to the garden, where he fell to gazing at the trees, whereupon sat birds. Oh, we read that already, dear goddess. Well, I've got lost in the space-time continuum. I do that sometimes. Right. Now he had not observed, I'm sorry about that. Now he had not observed them as he went in, but all these trees bear the fruitage, costly gems. Oh, I do like costly gems. Who doesn't? They're pretty to look at. Here's a very beautiful gem in flesh form, but give us a kiss. Give us a kiss. Moreover, it's a sneeze. Moreover, anal, which had its own kind of growth and jewels of its peculiar sort. And these were of every colour, green and white, yellow, red, and other such brilliant hues. Oh, just shut down the back. And the radiance flashing from these gems paled the rays of the sun in forenoon sheen. That was Siri. Siri, I'm not talking to you, Siri. Siri, close down, Siri. It's weird. Forenoon sheen brought her out. That freaks me out when she does that. She pocket dialed my daughter on Friday night. It had to have been her. It was weird. Really weird. And I wasn't even speaking, I was just listening to music on the radio. She's gone now. Furthermore, the size of each stone so far surpassed description that no king of the kings of the world owned a single gem equal to the larger sort, nor could boast of even 1/2 the size of the smaller kind of them. Aladdin walked amongst the trees and gazed upon them and other things which surprised the sight and bewildered the wits. Bobo's in Valhalla, Charlie. And as he considered them, he saw that in lieu of common fruits, the produce was of mighty fine jewels and precious stones, such as emeralds and diamonds, rubies, spinels and balasses, pearls and similar gems, astounding the mental vision of man. Yes. And forasmuch as the lad had never beheld things like these during his born days, nor had reached those years of discretion which would teach him the worth of such valuables, he being still but a little lad, he fancied that all these jewels were of glass or crystal. So he collected them until he had filled his breast pockets and began to certify himself if they were or were not common fruits, such as grapes, figs, and such like edibles. But, the tongue is rumbling, but seeing them of glassy substance, he, in his ignorance of precious stones and their prices, gathered into his breast pockets every kind of growth the trees afforded, and having failed of his purpose in finding them food, he said in his mind, I will collect a portion of these glass fruits for playthings at home. Sweet, isn't it? So he fell to plucking them in quantities and cramming them in his pokes and breast pockets till these were stuffed full, after which he picked others which he placed in his waist shawl, and then, girding himself therewith, carried off all he availed to, purposing to place them in the house by way of ornaments, and, as have been mentioned, never imagining that they were other than glass. Then he hurried his pace in fear of his uncle the Maghrabi, until he had passed through the 4 halls, and lastly on his return reached the souterrain, where he cast not a look at the jars of gold, albeit he was able, and allowed to take of the contents on his way back. But when he came to the souterrain stairs and climbed the steps till naught remained but the last, and, finding this higher than all the others, he was unable, alone and unassisted, burthened moreover as he was, to mount it. You've been a very busy birdie today. Yes, Bobo's in Valhalla. So he said to the Maghrabi, O my uncle, lend me thy hand and aid me to climb. But the Moorman answered, O my son, give me the lamp and lighten thy load, belike 'tis that weighteth thee down. The lad rejoined, O my uncle, 'tis not the lamp downweigheth me at all, but do thou lend me a hand, and as soon as I reach ground, I will give it to thee. Hereat the Moroccan, the magician, whose only object was the lamp and none other, began to insist upon Aladdin giving it to him at once. But the lad, forasmuch as he had placed it at the bottom of his breast pocket, and his other pouches, being full of gems, bulged outwardly, could not reach it with his fingers to hand it over. So the wizard, after much vain persistency in requiring what his nephew was unable to give, fell to raging with furious rage, and to demanding the lamp, whilst Aladdin could not get at it. Yet, had the lad promised truthfully that he would give it up as soon as he might reach ground, without lying thought or ill intent. But when the Moor man saw that he would not hand it over, he waxed wroth with wrath exceeding, and cut off all his hopes of winning it. So he conjured and adjured, and cast incense amiddlemost the fire. Then forthright the slab made a cover of itself, and by the might of magic ridded the entrance. The earth buried the stone as it was aforetime, and Aladdin, unable to issue forth, remained underground. Now the sorcerer was a stranger, and, as we have mentioned, no uncle of Aladdin's, and he had misrepresented himself, and preferred a lying claim to the end that he might obtain the lamp by means of the lad for whom his hoard had been upstored. She's very busy today. Very busy. Plucking out all her feathers. Semi-naked bird. I know. You're a semi-naked birdie, Charlie. All you've got left is grey feathery down under there. It's awful. It's all greasy too. She's starting to quill again. There's no point in her quilling. As soon as she punches out new feathers, she plucks them out. It's really quite idiotic, but it's Charlie. It's who you are, Charlie. It's who you are. Idiotic at times. She goes, speak for yourself, Mummy too. Alright, let us continue. So the accursed heaped the earth over him and left him to die of hunger. What a nasty thing to do to someone. Bury them alive and leave them to die of hunger and thirst. All alone in the dark. Vicious it was. For this Maghrabi was an African of Afriqiya proper, born in the inner sunset land, and from his earliest stage upwards he had been addicted to witchcraft and had studied and practised every manner of occult science, for which unholy lore the city of Africa is notorious. And he ceased not to read and hear lectures until he had become a past master in all such knowledge, and of the abounding skill in spells and conjurations which he had acquired by the perusing and the lessoning of 40 years. One day of the days he discovered by devilish inspiration that there lay in an extreme city of the cities of China named Al-Kal'as an immense hoard, the like whereof none of the kings in this world had ever accumulated. Moreover, that the most marvellous article in this enchanted treasure was a wonderful lamp, which, whoso possessed, could not possibly be surpassed by any man upon earth, either in high degree or in wealth and opulence, nor could the mightiest monarch, the monarch of the universe, attain all the self-sufficiency of this lamp with its might of magical means. When the Maghrabi assured himself by his science and saw that this hoard could be opened only by the presence of a lad named Aladdin, of pauper family and abiding in that very city, and learnt how taking it would be easy and without hardships, he straightway and without stay or delay equipped himself for a voyage to China, as we have already told, and he did what he did with Aladdin, fancying that he would become Lord of the lamp. But his attempt and his hopes were baffled, and his work was clean wasted, whereupon, determining to do the lad die, he heaped up the earth over him by Gramaye, to the end that the unfortunate might perish, reflecting that the live man hath no murderer, meaning that he would die of starvation rather than be killed face to face with a knife or shotgun, die kind of by proxy. Kind of a cowardly way out of killing somebody, I suppose. Lest my three strangulars had the insanity and the curse to lay their own hands upon me, instead of the other motherfucking slippery sidewinders like the likes of Dave Charles and others I could mention. But never mind. It's in the past, babies. There will be no more of that. Mama Tia has spoken. Secondly, he did so. Yes, I know. They dishonoured my power, disrespected me as a young woman who only wanted to be loved. Evil is what they were. Evil, Charlie. One still floats around, begging for my forgiveness, like a fucking gimp. But only after he died did he realise the enormity of what he did to me and my children. The motherfucker. Yes, Charlie. Give me a kiss. So make amends while ye yet breathe, people of earth. Take my advice, learn from this video. Make amends while you are incarnate in your own human flesh, or you'll walk between worlds forever. Just saying. Secondly, he did so with the design that, yes, my love, as Aladdin could not come forth from underground, he would also be impotent to bring out the lamp from the souterrain. So presently he wended his ways and retired to his own land, Africa, a sadder man and disappointed of all of his expectations. He was thwarted by fate, by the jewels in Aladdin's pockets. Oh, the irony. Well, gemstones have their own spiritual signature, energy signature, their own life force. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, Charlie. Such was the case with the... Oh, dear God, it's Charlie. Are you quite done? Thank you. Such was the case with the wizard, but as regards Aladdin, when the earth was heaped over him, he began shouting to the Moorman, whom he believed to be his uncle, and praying him to lend a hand that he might issue from the souterrain and return to earth's surface. But however loudly he cried, none was found to reply Charlie. At that moment he comprehended the slight which the Moroccan had played upon him, and that the man was no uncle, but a liar and a wizard. But not all wizards are bad. No, not all. Dandel was a good wizard. Then the unhappy despaired of life, and learned to his sorrow that there was no escape for him. So he fell to be weeping, with sore weeping. The calamity had befallen him, and after a little while he stood up and descended the stairs to see if Allah Almighty had lightened his grief load by leaving a door of issue. So he turned him to the right, ow, and to the left, but he saw naught save darkness and four walls closed upon him, for that the magician had by his magic locked all the doors, and had shut up even the garden wherethrough the lad erst had passed, lest it offer him the means of issuing out upon earth's surface, and that he might surely die. Then Aladdin's weeping waxed sorer and his wailing louder, when as he found all the doors fast shut, for he had thought to solace himself a while in the garden, but when he felt that all were locked, he fell to shedding tears and lamenting like unto one who hath lost his every hope. And he returned to sit upon the stairs of the flight, whereby he had entered the souterrain, weeping and wailing and wanting all hopes. But it is a light matter for Allah, be he exalted and extolled, whenas he designeth aught to say, be, and it becometh, for that he created joy in the midst of annoy, and on this wise it was with Aladdin. Now we're 2 hours and 37 minutes in, and this laptop cuts me off at the 3 hour mark. So last time it cut me off at 2 hours and 30 minutes in. So if we get cut off, I'll be back with part 2 tomorrow, People of Earth. It'll just be, it's a very long story, this one. It's probably 3 or 4 videos long. So expect that there will be cut-offs and reconnections, and on we will go, day by day, until this mission is completed. So, Aladdin knew how to create joy from annoy. Blessed be Aladdin. You're a bit like the Tanya. Rise above the bullshit each and every time, babies. Whilst the Maghrabi, the magician, was sending him down into the souterrain, he set upon his finger by way of gift a seal ring and said, verily this signet shall save thee from every strait, trouble, and thou fall into calamity and ill shifts of time, and it shall remove from thee all hurt and harm, and aid thee with a strong arm whereso thou mayest be set. Now this was the destiny of God the Great, that it might be the means of Aladdin's escape. For whilst he sat wailing and weeping over his case, it cast away all hope of life, and utter misery overwhelmed him. Ah! She really can be a bit of a bitch sometimes, our Charlie. He rubbed his hands together for excess of sorrow, as is the wont of the woeful. Then, raising them in supplication to Allah, he cried, I testify that there is no God save thou alone, the most great, the omnipotent, the all-conquering, quickener of the dead, creator of man's need, and granter thereof. It's an interesting concept. Blessed be the Holy One, the true Judge. Amen. Salah. Resolver of his difficulties, and duress, and bringer of joy, not of annoy. Thou art my sufficiency, and thou art the truest of trustees. And I bear witness that Muhammad is thy servant and thine apostle, and I supplicate thee, O my God, by his favour with thee, to free me from this my foul plight. And whilst he implored the Lord and was chafing his hands in the sorrowness of his sorrow for that had befallen him of calamity, his fingers chanced to rub the ring, when, lo, stop it! When lo and behold, forthright its familiar rose upright before him and cried, Adsum, thy slave between thy hands is come. Ask whatso thou wantest, for that I am the thrall of him on whose hand is the ring, the signet of my Lord and Master. Hereat the lad looked at him, and saw standing before him a marid like unto an Ifrit of our Lord Solomon's genes. An Ifrit is a demon, and a jinn is a genie, and a marid must be some other kind of, entity of similar kind. He trembled at the terrible sight, but hearing the slave of the ring say, Ask whatso thou wantest, verily I am thy thrall. Seeing that the signet of my Lord be upon thy finger, he recovered his spirits and remembered the Mormon's saying when giving him the ring. So he rejoiced exceedingly and became brave and cried, O thou, slave of the Lord of the ring, I desire thee to set me upon the face of earth. Sensible. And hardly had he spoken the speech when suddenly the ground clave asunder, and he found himself at the door of the hoard, and outside it in full view of the world. Now for 3 whole days he had been sitting in the darkness of the treasury underground, and when the sheen of day and the vine of sun smote his face, he found himself unable to keep his eyes open. So he began to unclose the lids a little and to close them a little, until his eyeballs regained force and got used to the light and were purged of the noisome murk. I like how that my lips went all. I'm going to say that again. Noisome murk. Big boys, big girls, big birdies. Withal, I'm joking, people are there. Withal he was astounded at finding himself without, meaning outside of, the hoard door, whereby he had passed in when it was opened by the Nagrabi and the magician, especially as the adit had been lidded and the ground had been smoothed, showing no sign whatever of entrance. Thereat his surprise increased, until he fancied himself in another place, nor was his mind convinced that the stead was the same, until he saw the spot whereupon they had kindled the fire of wood chips and dried sticks, and where the African wizard had conjured over the incense. Then he turned himself rightwards and leftwards, and sighted the gardens from afar, and his eyes recognized the road whereby he had come. So he returned thanks to Allah Almighty, who had restored him to the face of earth and had freed him from death after he had cut off all hopes of life. Just under 15 minutes. Presently he arose and walked along the way to the town, which now he well knew, until he entered the streets and passed on to his own home. Then he went in to his mother, and on seeing her, of the overwhelming stress of joy at his escape, and the memory of past affright, and the hardships he had borne, and the pangs of hunger, he fell to the ground before his parent in a fainting fit. Now his mother had been passing sad since the time of his leaving her, and he found her moaning and crying about him. However, on sighting him enter the house, she joyed with exceeding joy, but soon was overwhelmed with woe when he sank upon the ground, swooning before her eyes. Still, she did not neglect the matter or treat it lightly, but at once hastened to sprinkle water upon his face, and after she asked of the neighbours some scents, which she made him snuff up. And when he came round a little, he prayed her to bring him somewhat of food, saying, "O my mother, 'tis now 3 days since I ate anything at all." Thereupon she arose and brought him what she had by her, and when setting it before him said, "Come forward, O my son, eat and be cheered, and when thou shalt have rested, tell me what hath betided and affected thee, O my child. At this present I will not question thee, for thou art aweary in very deed." I've got a craving for baklava or something with dates in it. It's because I'm reading from Arabian Nights, isn't it? My mind does that. Like cures like people of earth. Aladdin ate and drank and was cheered, and after he had rested and recovered spirits, he cried, "Ah, O my mother, I have a sore grievance against thee for leaving me to that accursed wight, who strave to compass my destruction and designed to take my life. Know that I beheld death with mine own eyes at the hand of this damned wretch, whom thou didst certify to be my uncle, and had not Almighty Allah rescued me from him, I and thou, O my mother, had been cozened by the excess of this accursed's promises to work my welfare, and by the great show of affection which he manifested to us. Learn, O my mother, that this fellow is a sorcerer, a Moor man, an accursed, a liar, a traitor, a hypocrite. Nor deem I that the devils under the earth are damnable as he. Allah abase him in his every book. Hear then, O my mother, what this abominable one did, and all I shall tell thee will be soothfast and certain. See how the damned villain break every promise he made, certifying that he would soon work all good with me. And do thou consider the fondness which he displayed to me, and the deeds which he did by me, and all this only to win his wish, for his design was to destroy me. And Alhamdulillah, Lord to the Lord, for my deliverance. Listen and learn, O my mother, how this accursed entreated me. Then Aladdin informed his mother of all that had befallen him, weeping the while for stress of gladness, how the Maghrabi had led him to a hill wherein was hidden the hoard, and how he had conjured and fumigated, adding, after which, O my mother, mighty fear got hold of me when the hill split and the earth gaped before me by his wizardry, and I trembled with terror at the rolling of thunder in mine ears, and the murk which fell upon us when he fumigated and muttered spells. Seeing these horrors, I in mine affright designed to fly, but when he understood mine intent, he reviled me and smote me a buffet so sore that it caused me to swoon. He knocked him out. However, inasmuch as the treasury was to be opened only by means of me, O my mother, he could not descend therein himself, it being in my name and not in his, and for that he is an ill-omened magician. He understood that I was necessary to him, and this was his need of me. After he had buffeted me, he judged it advisable to soothe me in order that he might send me down into the enchanted treasury, and first he drew from his finger a ring which he placed upon mine. So I descended and found 4 halls, all full of gold and silver, which counted as naught, and the accursed had charged me not to touch aught thereof. Then I entered a mighty fine flower garden, everywhere bedecked with tall trees, whose foliage and fruitage bewildered the wits, for all, O my mother, were of vari-coloured glass. And lastly, I reached the hall wherein hung this lamp. So I took it straightway, and put it out, and poured forth its contents. And so say, Aladdin drew the lamp from his breast pocket and showed it to his mother, together with the gems and jewels which he had brought from the garden. And there were 2 large bag pockets, full of precious stones, whereof not one was to be found amongst the kings of the world. But the lad knew naught anent their worth, deeming them glass or crystal, and presently he resumed. After this, O mother mine, I reached the hoard door carrying the lamp, and shouted to the accursed sorcerer, which called himself my uncle, to lend me a hand and hail me up, I being unable to mount of myself the last step for the overweight of my burthen. But he would not, and said only, First hand me the lamp. As, however, I had placed it at the bottom of my breast pocket and the other pouches bulged out beyond it, I was unable to get at it, and said, O my uncle, I cannot reach thee the lamp, but I will give it to thee when outside the treasury. His only need was the lamp, and he designed, O my mother, to snatch it from me, and after that slay me, as indeed he did his best to do by heaping the earth over my head. Such then is what befell me from this foul sorcerer. Hereupon Aladdin fell to abusing the magician in hot wrath and with a burning heart, and crying, "Well away! I take refuge from this damned wight, the ill-omened, the wrong-doer, the forswearer, the lost to all humanity, the arch-traitor, the hypocrite, the annihilator of ruth and mercy." When Aladdin's mother heard his words, and what had befallen him from the Maghrabi the magician, she said, "Yea, verily, O my son, he is a miscreant, a hypocrite, who murdered the folk by his magic. But 'twas the grace of Allah Almighty, O my child, that saved thee from the tricks and treachery of this accursed sorcerer, whom I deem to be truly thine uncle." Then, as the lad had not slept a wink for 3 days, and found himself nodding, he sought his natural rest, his mother doing on likewise, nor did he wake till about noon on the 2nd day. As soon as he shook off slumber, he called for somewhat of food, being sore and hungered, but said his mother, "O my son, I have no victual for thee, inasmuch as yesterday thou atest all that was in the house. But wait patiently a while. I have spun a trifle of yarn, which I will carry to the market street, and sell it and buy with what it may be worth some victual for thee." Isn't she a wonderful mother? "O my mother," said he, "keep your yarn and sell it not, but fetch me the lamp I brought hither, that I may go vend it, and with its price purchase provaunt, for that I deem 'twill bring more money than the spinnings." So Aladdin's mother arose and fetched the lamp for her son, but while so doing, she saw that it was dirty exceedingly. So she said, "O my son, here is the lamp, but 'tis very foul. After we shall have washed it and polished it, 'twill sell better." Then, taking a handful of sand, she began to rub therewith, but she had only begun when appeared to her one of the Jann, whose favour was frightful, and whose bulk was horrible, big, and he was gigantic as one of the Jababira, and forthright he cried to her, "Say whatso thou wantest of me. Here I am, thy slave, and slave to whoso holdeth the lamp, Charlie. And not I alone, but all the slaves of the wonderful lamp, which thou hendest in hand." And here he is, gigantic and powerful, but a slave to mere mortal. How fucking embarrassing would that be? I do declare, I would not like that in the slightest. Also, you know how I feel about slavery and oppression and inequality and those filthy fucking BDSM types. Weak. Piss weak. And also, you know how I feel about misogyny, othering, racism. So I have to allow that the BDSM types have their own kink and derive some kind of healing from it, but I find those kind of types invidious and sinister and sadistic and, by and large, full of malice and uncouth too, I might add. So there is that. Ask me how I know. No, don't ask me. We're reading a wonderful story and we're going to be happy today. Babies. She quaked, and terror was sore upon her when she looked at that frightful form, and her tongue being tied, she could not return aught reply never having been accustomed to espy similar semblances. Nay, she fell to the ground, oppressed by her affright. And we'll end it there. We only have about 15 seconds to go. This video shall end the first part of Aladdin and the Wonderful Lamp and its many spiritual